close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to the Star Sport Podcast. My name is Jack McCarran of the Southern Star, and I'm joined as always by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. On today's podcast we'll be catching up with Aston Villa and Ireland midfielder Conor Hourihane to find out how he's been getting on during lockdown. We'll also hear the Bandon man's thoughts on Stephen Kenny's appointment as Ireland manager, playing alongside Jack Grealish, his memories of playing with Bandon AFC, and what could have been if he'd stuck with the GAA. And Kieran, it was you who had the pleasure of speaking to Conor a little earlier on. First of all, how was he? And also, I believe he had some interesting things to say about the conclusion of this season's Premier League.
Yeah, Conor was in great form, Jack. Good to catch up with him. Obviously, he's the reigning West Cork Sports Star of the Year. So, like I was saying to him, he could be the first man in the history of the awards to hold the title for 2 years consecutively, because we don't know when sport will return this year, if it'll return. Yeah, Conor's in great form. Some interesting stuff about the Premier League and the kind of chatter he's hearing over that. There's a very much a desire in England for there to be a clean season next year. So and what he's heard too, that they have an end date in mind for when this year's Premier League will finish. So if we don't play the games, I think there's a feeling that the league will be just kind of, I suppose, follow what's happened in France and Holland, and maybe the league just won't resume. I know UEFA have given a May 25th deadline to all the different leagues to put their kind of restart proposals together. But from what Conor's saying, that what he's heard, and it's the chatter over, I presume, amongst the players and so on, is that next season wants to be kept clean so that no remnants of this year's campaign would fall into the 2020-21 season. So that would have ramifications for clubs at the top and at the bottom of all the different leagues, because we don't know still what would happen. Would Liverpool be kind of declared the champions because they were going to win it? But what would happen teams in the relegation zone, like Conor's Aston Villa, who are second from bottom at the moment, but they had 10 games left? So can you relegate Villa on final standings? I don't know. There's a lot of kind of moving pieces at the moment. So it was just interesting to get Conor's take on all that.
Well, there's no point in burying the lead any further. Our listeners have heard enough from you and me over the last few weeks. So let's jump straight into Kieran's chat with Conor Hourihane.
Delighted to be joined on this week's Star Sport Podcast by Bandon's most famous son and West Cork's most famous soccer expert, Conor Hourihane. How's the form, Conor?
Yeah, not too bad. Good to be on. Nice to have a chat about sport, because there's not much else going on.
That's it. And we kick straight off. Actually, we go straight into, I suppose, Premier League at the moment, because it's the hot topic. There seems to be a real desire to get the Premier League up and running ASAP. But I suppose the health and safety of the players is first and foremost in all of this with what's going on. What's your own thoughts on getting the Premier League back up and running, Conor?
Yeah, there's huge mixed signals, I think, at the minute. 1 week I think no, not a chance, it's not going to come back, and then the next week they're trying to really push it. So I'm not sure where I'm at with it all, to be honest with you. You know, it's a real scary time at the minute for everyone, as everyone knows. You know, it would kind of sound and see that money's kind of getting talked about more than the health and safety of players and staff and all the rest of it. So I'm not too sure, to be honest with you, where it's all going to end up and how it's all going to finish. But I do know whatever happens, you know, safety of the players and all the staff is you know, really, really important for sure. And whatever big decisions are made, there is going to be a lot of unhappy people, because you know, whatever decisions happen, you know, everyone's not going to be happy, that's for sure, because teams will miss out on whatever they're trying to seeking to do for the end of the season. So there's big decisions to be made, and I, for one, I'm glad I'm not making decisions, that's for sure.
We can see around Europe at the moment that different leagues are starting to make decisions. Is it Holland? They've kind of null and voided their league. France yesterday kind of null and voided their league, but they cancelled it. And we could see that happening more and more over the next couple of weeks and months, because I suppose the longer this goes on and the more the months pass by, it'll be harder to get the 2019-2020 season up and running? Like, if you go to September, it's hard to see them finishing off the current season. Well, that's my thoughts are.
Yeah, well, from what I know, kind of in-house, they want to keep next season clean. That's from what we've been told. I think they're trying to finish off this season and or whatever, or are they kind of looking like they're trying to finish it off, but deep down, do they know the possible outcome already? Who knows? But from what I know, and I've heard from different people, they want to keep next year clean as possible, because again, there's so much money involved in a clean season compared to kind of maybe losing out on X amount to try and finish off. We've got 10 games left. Multiply that by 20. It's not as much money to them, but like I said, it's all coming down to money. I hope it doesn't come down to just that. I hope players' safety and backroom staff safety gets taken into account. But like I said, from what I know, I think that there will be kind of an end date to when we have to finish the season, because they want to keep next year as clean as possible.
Behind closed doors has been mooted a lot as well in all different sports. What's your own thoughts about playing football games behind closed doors? It's obviously not the same without the fans.
Yeah. No, listen, the fans are obviously a huge part of every sport. It makes the atmosphere, it adds that tension, it adds that atmosphere. So it wouldn't be easy, that's for sure. Just before this kind of happened, I watched the last game I probably watched was United away to, I can't remember who they were away to now, but it was behind closed doors. So that's the last game I watched, funnily enough. So yeah, it would be very, very strange. I don't think it's as easy as what people are saying to organise. There's still going to be 300-400 people probably in around the stadium, which is a lot of people when you're only allowed to hang around with 2 or 3 at the minute. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting, that's for sure.
We don't know where the season is going to finish up, but how do you kind of assess your own first season in the Premier League with Aston Villa so far? Kind of, you've 7 goals. I just checked there. You're still Villa's You're still Villa's second top scorer this season with 7 goals in midfield. It's kind of an up and down season, Conor. How would you assess it?
It's frustrating, a mixed bag. Some highs, some lows. If I'm being brutally honest, a complete mixed bag. Obviously, achieve the dream of getting to the Premier League and scoring in the Premier League and kind of having a season here, hopefully longer, please God. If that will be, we'll wait to see on that one. Yeah, it's been frustrating. I would have liked to have played more. I've worked so hard to get to this level, and I probably haven't been given or haven't got the minutes that I would like. I feel like when I've played, I've done all right in games. Scored a few winners or whatever, and the cup kind of competition, getting to the Carabao Cup final, was kind of a way of forcing myself back into the team at times, and doing well in that competition personally was good for myself. So yeah, an up and down season on top of the club in general and the team having an inconsistent season, okay and good in some games and really poor in others. So I think consistency from a whole for the team and for myself is probably the key word jumping out at me, and probably, like I said, a mixed bag for everyone.
When you kind of, obviously your story has been well told from League 2 right up to the Premier League, and that jump from the Championship to the Premier League, it's the last step to take, but it's probably one of the biggest steps too. What did you find was the biggest difference in terms of, I suppose, the speed of the game and so on, going from Championship up to the Premier League?
Everything, to be honest with you, Kieran. It's pace of the game, the quality of the players, the physicality of the players. They're elite athletes. On top of the media, you really can't get away from it. It's all over the place. The Premier League, all around the world, radio, Sky, news channels, back home. You just can't get away from it. So the whole league in general is just so big. But in terms of games, probably just the pure quality of the players, how quick they are, how skillful they are. I know people always say, "Oh, what do you think of that player? What do you think of this player?" I can guarantee anyone who plays in the Premier League is a good footballer, because little things like when you give away the ball, you don't get it back for long periods of time. You can easily, one mistake leads to a goal. You can get punished quite easily in this league. So it's been a huge step up in all different aspects of the game.
You were telling me before, I think it was Man City when they visited you. I think they really did impress you. I think that was a 5 or 6-0, was it?
Yeah, it was a 5-1 maybe. I think we nicked the goal at some stage. Yeah, they were top class that day. The best team I've ever played, easily, hands down. Couldn't get near them. They absolutely ripped us to shreds any chance they got. It was going in left, right and centre. People like De Bruyne and David Silva, Aguero, Mahrez, it was a tough day at the office, that's for sure. But it was a great experience at the same time. And a few months later, then we played them in the Carabao Cup final, and I feel like we gave it a good fist on the day. That header that may have kind of just nicked it for us and gone to extra time, and you never would have known. It was always going to be a tough day, don't get me wrong, but when it was 2-0 down, I thought, oh, please don't let this be embarrassing, go to 5 or 6-0. So, we took positives from that day. Listen, hugely disappointing to lose a major final, first time ever kind of getting that close to winning a major trophy. But yeah, listen, there's been on top of it being a tough season and whatever, it's been an amazing experience at the same time.
For a Man United fan to go to Old Trafford and put up such a great display against United, how does that rank into highlights?
Yeah, that's right up there, of course. I had my partner and my daughter and my mum and dad and people like that at the game as well. And obviously being a lifelong Manchester United fan, that was right up there, especially as well to get a result, which was it would have been great. If we didn't get a result, if we got beat or whatever, but to get a result as well made that extra bit special. Kind of walking off the pitch, getting a draw at Old Trafford, being a United fan and going over to Old Trafford over years, numerous times to watch them play. That was definitely a special time this year as well.
And Jack Grealish is some fella who's been kind of linked to United and other clubs, but you've played with him now, Conor. How good is Jack Grealish?
Yeah, he's top class in terms of pure ability and just sheer skill and technique level. He's probably easily the best player I've ever played with to date. He's just got that gift that he runs quicker with the ball. When he kind of faces someone up, you're in real trouble. He's skipping by the best players in this league so easily. Until I've kind of played with him and how he's developed over the kind of 3 years I've been here as well, he's taken his game to a new level over the last couple of years, especially in this league, in the Premiership. I felt like in the Championship last year, he was the real catalyst for us when he came back from injury, and a lot of people say that. But he's taken his game to a new level since he's come to the Premier League and took it by storm, really. And, England team. And
I have to say too, you left one West Cork man very disappointed in the last couple of weeks. Our MD, Sean Mahon, is a Sheffield man. He's a Sheffield Wednesday fan. And you did the Athletic podcast a couple of weeks ago when you mentioned that you could have gone to Sheffield Wednesday or Fulham before you left Barnsley for Villa back in January 2017. So just to rub it home with Sean again, there was never a chance you were going to go to Sheffield Wednesday, was there?
No, I don't think so. Listen, for people that don't know, Barnsley and Sheffield Wednesday would be kind of Barnsley, kind of Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United would be the kind of teams, the arch rivals, Leeds as well, thrown into it, the kind of the main Yorkshire clubs. And I had such a fondness with the Barnsley fans and with the owner. God rest him, he's passed away now at the time, Patrick Ryan. There was an opportunity for myself maybe to pick Sheffield Wednesday over, and like I said, at Fulham and Aston Villa, but it would have been easy for myself to go to Sheffield Wednesday because I was 2 minutes away from the training ground, probably 5 minutes away from their ground from where I lived in Sheffield, but I played for Barnsley. But I just didn't want to kind of give up that connection I had with the club and the fans and the success I had there. So it never really entered my head to go there. So apologies.
Apologies, Sean. Before I talk about Ireland, I have to just talk about Bandon AFC for a second. It's a very special year for them. It's their 50th anniversary, and I know they did a huge calendar of events kind of laid out to celebrate the year. But on the club alone, how important was Bandon in your development as a footballer, especially those very early days?
Yeah, huge. It's disappointing for themselves, obviously, like you said, the huge year that's in it and what's happening in the world. Like you said, they had so many things organised. As a club, listen, it's where I started off. It's where I found my love for soccer and kind of they gave me that freedom to go down and play as often as I wanted and play with friends and play for your local town. And it's somewhere obviously close to my heart, the town in general, but of course the soccer club as well. They gave me that platform to really go and love the game and enjoy the game and like I said, play with that freedom and that smile on my face. It was amazing, really. So fond memories, and it's, like I said, it's an amazing year from this year. But like I said, disappointing for what's happening in the world at the minute, that they can't kind of fulfil their things that they wanted to do.
There's some great people involved in Bandon AFC, always was and still are. And Tony O'Leary has made his living telling the story about the time when there was an under-14 game when you were playing, and he invited some man down to watch you because he was raving about this special talent on the way up. And at half time it was 0-0 and you weren't playing too well, and Tony says that he told you in a way that that fell over there, he thinks you're useless, go out and show him. And in the second half, you got 4 or 5 goals. Like Tony's told me that story a couple of times. Does that ring a bell for you, Conor? Does it?
Yeah. No, I get asked about this one a lot in different interviews or whatever, because it's kind of a well-known story that's kind of got out there over the years. But no, I do remember the story. Like I said, I don't know if I scored the 4 or 5 goals in the end, but I do remember the story, and I do remember the kind of occasion. Yeah, it's one of them stories that you look back on with a smile on your face. I suppose it's the kind of, maybe that was the catalyst, the start of my career, where I've proven a lot of people wrong over the years. So that was just another one to tick off, really.
Another fella who's told me a couple of stories about you over the years is your good friend Brian Hurley of Cork football fame.
Yeah.
Go back to those early GA days, and you are a really talented footballer and hurler. Like, when you were younger, was it your aspiration and hope to be a Cork hurler and footballer?
Yeah, without doubt, it was. It's what I wanted to do, really, as a young lad. Play for Cork, win an All Ireland with them, and Munster hurling final and football final or whatever. Yeah, it's probably what I saw myself doing up until probably 13, 14, probably getting to that late stage, really, until I kind of made that switch over to soccer at the time. Always think back to, over the years, I always have that kind of thought in my head, would I have made it, or would I have got to the Cork team or whatever, but that question will never be answered. But yeah, that's something that I wanted to do, definitely, yeah.
You were on the Cork Primary School's football team. I think you played in a half-time game down in Fitzgerald Stadium one year. In terms of football and hurling, what was your preference?
Probably hurling, I'd say. Hurling is a special. Listen, football is as well. It's an amazing game, but hurling's got that kind of uniqueness to it. The speed of the game is fantastic. Like I said, Munster hurling final days and All Ireland hurling final days are that bit more special for me anyway. Listen, other people would say different. Munster hurling championship in general is, for me, is the kind of the catalyst of the summer in GA calendar personally. Yeah, I would probably say hurling. Yeah, I still love it now. Still love going to the Cork games and the Bandon games when I'm back. It's just that love I have for the game will never go.
Like I was saying, Brian has told me kind of countless times that you used to leave him on the flat of his arse because you turn him inside out and kind of
nice to me, I'd say. He's been nice to me there.
And would you still get time when you're over in England to watch and kind of keep in contact with even the local GA scene back home, or even, let's say, the Cork inter-county teams when they're in action?
Yeah, no, listen, all the time, yeah. When the championship's going on in the summer, when I get back, I like going to games and I speak to Brian, of course, and see how he's getting on. And obviously my dad tells me as much info as he can on different things. He'll be listening to all the radio channels and all the TV channels, and the Sunday game and all the rest of it. So huge connection to it, of course, still now. And like I said, when I go back, I love going to Cork games and Bandon games as much as I can. And
I presume you'd have broken your uncle's heart, and you wouldn't have swapped to Kilmacabea. You'd have stayed with Bandon, would you?
I probably would have stayed with Bandon. All right, I couldn't have jumped ship there, even though, like you said, my dad and his family and Dan have got big connections with Kilmax. But no, Bandon, where my heart is at, I'm afraid.
Good stuff. And before I let you go, Conor, just to turn to Ireland, obviously the Republic of Ireland kind of seen been a change of manager in the last couple of weeks with Stephen Kenny taking over from Mick McCarthy. First on Mick, he really gave you your chance. I know it was Martin O'Neill who brought you in and gave you your debut.
Yeah.
But Mick McCarthy had such faith and confidence in you, and you started so many games under him. How big an impact has he had in your international career?
Yeah, massive. Mick's probably, like I said, been the person who really gave me that opportunity to put a foothold on my international career and make that step. Obviously, Martin gave me the official kind of debut and dipped me in and out of a couple of games and gave me a few friendly starts and kind of never got a foothold of that scene. And Mick obviously gave me that kind of faith and belief that I would get caps in games and minutes, and felt like I did all right for him. I felt like I probably started off the campaign quite well and then dipped a little bit towards the end, if I'm being honest. But listen, I always have huge thanks to Mick for that, because it's something that I've always wanted to do. And when that new manager comes in, it's a little bit unsettling. You don't know what's going to happen and whatever. So for Mick to kind of like I said, put that faith in me was fantastic.
With Stephen Kenny now, is it a case of trying to prove yourself all over again to the new manager?
Yeah, of course, that's what it's all about. In my football career, I've seen a lot of managers come and go, so it's another time again, and another time to prove to a manager what I'm all about and whatever. So hugely exciting time again, heading into the playoffs. October time, I think it is, or November, if we get to the final. So it's going to be, like I said, an exciting time. New manager always gives that new buzz and new ideas. So hopefully it will go. Hopefully we'll go to plan and will be a success.
Do you still feel, Conor, that there's more to come from you at international level? I wrote a column there in the Star a couple of weeks ago, and I was just even highlighting your creativity with club level, from Plymouth to Barnsley to Villa, and your stats over the last couple of years have been incredible for a midfielder. And then you look at, I suppose, the Ireland's setup, and you've won goal, and it was obviously that brilliant goal against Georgia at Viva. Do you still feel that Ireland fans have still to see the best of you in a green jersey?
Yeah, I think I go back to the start of this interview. This season with Villa has been a mixed bag, and I think my international career has probably been a mixed bag. I've had some good performances and average performances and not so great performances. I think at club level, like you said, I think a lot of the teams have suited my style of play, whereas maybe with Ireland it's a little bit more defensive and a little bit more, hold back a little bit and let's have a go later on in the games. That mentality. I don't think that kind of brings out the best in me, but I'm hoping, obviously, the way Stephen's been talking, it's going to be a more passing football team. So I'm hoping that will bring out consistently better performance in myself. And like I said, I'm 29, so I still feel like I'm in the peak of my career, heading into the next kind of 3-4 years. So I think hopefully that exciting kind of football that Stephen wants to play will only benefit myself.
I think all our Ireland fans are looking forward to kind of Stephen Kenny putting his stamp on the team, because if you look at the under-21s and his football philosophy, even with Dundalk, he likes to keep the ball on the ground. He likes his teams to attack. So for players like you, kind of that could be music to your ears.
Yeah, I think so. That's the way he's been talking, and he wants to dominate the ball and for the midfield to play a little bit more football. So, like I said earlier on, I think the kind of the mentality of the Irish way is to kind of maybe defend and hold back and nick a goal or whatever. So I think from what Stephen's been saying, he's going to try and change that. And we do have quality in the side. A lot of our players now are playing in the Premier League, or at least at the very top of the Championship. So there is quality there. I think sometimes people underestimate the quality that we have. So I think someone like Stephen's going to try and bring that out on us and play more football, and more attacking football, which hopefully for myself that will suit me.
You might have one more claim to fame by the end of the year, because the way the sports kind of year is playing out, we don't know when sport will be back, and you are the reigning West Cork Sports Star of the Year. And the way it's looking at the moment, that you would hold that title into the following year, because we don't know what sports we're going to have. But even going back to that, to be crowned kind of West Cork's top sports star, and the following in the footsteps of the O'Donovan brothers and Phil Healy and kind of elite international athletes like that, it must be a great honour for you to be recognised here by the people at home.
Yeah, it's amazing, of course. To get awards like that is always, it means you're doing something right. Listen, just the way I am and my kind of the normal lad I am. I just see myself as a normal lad from Bandon, playing soccer at a decent level. So when awards like that come around, it's very, very flattering. Very close to people from back home, and love going back home. So like I said, I just see myself as a normal guy fulfilling a dream. So like I said, it's great to get awards like that. But it's I'd like to think that when someone from Bandon and West Cork comes through and gets to a level that I'm playing, and I suppose it kind of gives people from that part of Cork, that kind of, if he can do it, why can't I? Because anyone can achieve whatever they set out to do in life. So no, it's great.
Fantastic. And that's a great way to finish up. Conor, come here. Thanks for your time. Stay safe over.
All right. No problem at all. And you look after yourself.
Thanks for listening to the Star Sport Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to all things sport in West Cork. Don't forget to pick up this Thursday's Southern Star newspaper, including our award-winning sports section with everything a West Cork sports fan could want. In shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world via www.thesouthernstar.ie/e-paper. The Southern Star and the Star Sport Podcast, #1 for sport in West Cork.
Welcome back to the Star Sport Podcast. And before we preview this week's Southern Star, which will be in shops everywhere from Thursday morning, we have to revisit last weekend's final of the Pitch Perfect competition, which, for those of you who don't know, was the Southern Star's quest to find the best GAA playing surface in all of West Cork. It's gone on for the last number of weeks. There's been huge interest, and the final last week was an absolute cracker. Kieran, maybe take us back to throw-in last week and who came out on top and some of the news from the final.
So from the 32 pitches that started out at the beginning of this competition, that's 26 pitches from Carbery and 6 pitches from Beara. It was down to the final 2 last Saturday, which was Tadhg McCorrick's Agraville pitch and Randalog's Ballinaccarriga pitch. And the first I have to say, it was actually great, Jack, to get 2 top-class pitches through to the final, because both pitches are among the best in West Cork. So that was brilliant, I suppose, for the credibility of the competition, that we 2 super pitches through and in the final. The final itself was a cracker. It was actually like, we're without live sport at the moment, and people that were following it like it was a match. You check in every now and again to see how the votes are going, to see what was happening and so on. Over nearly 4,200 votes were cast in the final alone, which is a phenomenal amount. And I know you tipped Tadhg McCorrick right at the outset when we did the draw for the group stages a couple of weeks ago, and your prediction came true. And what was noticeable about Tadhg McCorrick is their late surge in the knockout stages. They beat Oliver Plunkett's. It was 50.4% against 49.6%, so less than 1% in it, and it came down to a late surge. Tadhg McCorrick got the better of Bear Island in the semi-final. Again, another late surge. So they were the kings of the comeback in this competition. And at one stage on Saturday, Jack, Randalog led, I think it was 57% to 43%. But then, sure as night follows day, Tadhg McCorrick came back again, and it was level pegging, and it was tit for tat all through the night. And then Cora finished very strong, and they won 46-54. So it was just good fun, very entertaining, because clubs were looking for votes left, right and centre. Randalog got Michael Healy-Ray to vote for them, and then Tadhg McCorrick came back with a Pope Francis account on Twitter he gave Tadhg McCorrick his blessing. It wasn't Pope Francis in the Vatican. I can confirm that it wasn't the Pope Francis, but still very impressive to get get a holy backing like that. So good crack, good fun, great pitch that won at Agaville. And we have a full match report, Jack, in Thursday Southern Star, and I'd safely guess that this is the only live match report from a sporting event in Ireland this week. I've after match reaction, I've a highlights panel, I've a scoreline, I've pictures. We're kind of, it shows why we're number one in West Cork and beyond, I think, with our match report this week, Jack.
Yeah, well, if that's not a reason to pick up a copy of this week's Southern Star, I don't know what is. We should probably give a shout out as well to KK Film Productions, who sent us a great little video highlighting the top class nature of the pitch. It just showed the facilities and the surface itself. I think the big thing about that field is the surface itself. It's perfect for hurling, perfect for football. So worthy winners, and I'm going to pat myself on the back for picking them at the start. But Kieran, you mentioned the match report that's going to appear in this week's Southern Star. As I said, that's one reason to buy it, but there are a myriad of other reasons as well, aren't there?
There is, yeah. We're coming up to bank holiday weekend, so we've a action-packed 16-page sports supplement for all Southern Star readers. There's a couple of really good pieces in there, Jack. I have a big interview with Gary O'Donovan, obviously Gary O'Donovan of the O'Donovan Brothers fame, and Gary's talking about trying to get back in the Irish lightweight double that will be going to next year's Olympics. Gary lost his seat in the boat to Fintan McCarthy last year, and Gary wants to get back in that boat, and he's leaving no stone unturned. And
just on that one, Kieran, just on Gary's quest to get back into the seat for Tokyo, it was announced yesterday that if the Olympics don't go ahead as planned next year, they're going to be scrapped altogether, which wouldn't be great for the likes of a Gary O'Donovan or some of the athletes who they're not quite at their peak yet, but no, they're not getting any younger, so the wait could well go on if we can't get a lid on this in the next few months.
That's exactly it. There's talks. I suppose it's very early now. We don't know what the landscape will look like 12 months down the line, but that has been mooted, all right, that the Olympics don't go ahead in 2021 in Tokyo. That's it, that they won't happen, I suppose, till Paris in 2024. So what knock-on effect that will have on the rowers, we won't know till next year when that decision is made. But back to this feature with Gary, he's always one of the best people to interview, Jack. He's so honest and forthright, and he never hides behind a question, and he always tells you what he feels. So his interviews are always a great read, and he's in top form. Again, in this interview, kind of talking us through how he felt not being in the boat, what he's doing now, and so on. And he also chats about how himself and Paul are back home in Skibbereen at the moment, and how they're having to work from home and train from home during the ongoing kind of restrictions and lockdown. So he says that they're the exact same as everyone else, that they have to work from home, and that they're sticking to the guidelines, and so should everybody else, because we have to kind of work together to suppress the virus. So good stuff from Gary O'Donovan. I think that will appeal to a lot of sports fans and even beyond. I've also a big feature on the Castlehaven under-21 team that won the 1998 West Cork and County football titles, Jack. That was a very, very special Castlehaven team, because it actually proved the foundation for a lot of the success that followed in the next decade and a half. 18 of the players involved in that 98 Castlehaven under-21 team went on to be part of the senior team that won the county senior football title in 2003, and more of those fellas were involved in the 2012 and 2013 successes. And of that 1998 Castlehaven under-21 team, there's still 17, 18, 19 of those men still involved in the team right now. Involved in the club right now in terms of coaching. There's two fellas still playing, Shane Hurley and Paddy Hurley. So it just shows that 98 Castlehaven under-21 team has been such an important part of Castlehaven's success in the last 15 years. So I think it's a very interesting piece for not only Castlehaven fans but for GA fans in general, to see how one team has spawned so much success, and how one team is still giving so much back to the club 22 years on. And I've spoken to different people like Enda Buckley, Paddy Hurley, James McCarthy, and Enda Buckley made a great point explaining why players in Castlehaven, why people in Castlehaven put so much back into the club, and why the club is so important to them. So that's a really strong piece in this week's sports section. As well as that, we've continued our series of talking to West Cork people abroad, Jack, and this week it's John Bobs Daly from St Mary's GA club in Ballineen. He's now down in New Zealand playing with Wellington GAA, and he's made a big impact down there since he moved in 2018. And he was also, he tells me, involved in the first ever hurl lacrosse game that was played in the Southern Hemisphere. And I'd never heard of hurl lacrosse, which is a cross between hurling and lacrosse. So good stuff by John Bobs Daly, and it's a chance for us here at home just to check in on how one of our exports is doing abroad. Seeing too how it is the bank holiday begin, Jack, I've got 10 local sports stars to give me their Netflix recommendations for our readers, so they can help pass the time. So we're from Tiger King, The Morning Show. Thomas Clancy of Clonakilty and Cork football fame has gone for Friends, which I can 100% see why. I've watched every Friends episode 2 or 3 times at this stage. It's a staple diet on Comedy Central, but we've Niamh Cotter and so many more and giving us their TV recommendations. Great interview by Dennis Hurley with Aidan Quirk, who's the new head greenkeeper at Clonakilty Golf Club, and if restrictions are being relaxed, golf could be one of the first sports that could come back online. So good to see how Clonakilty Golf Club are taking over. And also we have a lovely story about how a young Man United fan from Drina had his question for Bruno Fernandes answered by the Portuguese superstar on manunited.com. So it's a lovely kind of local story of a United fan posing a very tough question to Bruno Fernandes. And I'm going to pose the same question to you, Jack. If you could play with either Paul Scholes or Roy Keane, who would you pick and why?
If I was to pick purely based on who the better player was overall, I would definitely play with Roy Keane 100% of the day. 100% of the time. I don't buy into all this kind of Paul Scholes after timing that he was some sort of Xavi light that Man United fans have put out there in the world since he's retired. But if I was to want to avoid confrontation, which I tend to like to do in match situations, so I'm not always delighted to be playing with people who are roaring at me throughout the game. It drives me demented. All I can do is tell them to F off. So I don't know how well that will go down with Roy Keane. So, but I'd have to lean with Roy. I'd probably take the bollocking just to get to share a field with him. But this nonsense about Paul Scholes being the greatest midfielder of his generation just really kind of sickens me.
Said by a bitter Liverpool fan, kind of holding on to the Stevie G argument. But I can see where you're coming from. And I just want to mention one more piece in this week's Southern Star Sports section. There was a very special 30th birthday for a huge Carbery Rangers fan this week, Niall Flavin, and he's known throughout the division. Everybody knows Niall, and he celebrated his 30th birthday this week. And we have a lovely story about Niall in this week's Star. So happy birthday to Niall. Kind of his 30th birthday, kind of celebrating it in lockdown. Not how he or anyone would have wanted, but he's a great character and a very familiar face on the GA fields of West Cork. So that's another reason to pick up Thursday's Southern Star, Jack.
Yeah, so loads of reasons there as listed out by Kieran why you should pick up this Thursday's Southern Star, which is in shops across West Cork and beyond from Thursday morning. And if you can't make it to the shop for any reason, you can also pick up a copy of our digital edition. Just log on to www.southernstar.ie/e-paper and you can read the Southern Star for as little as €2 per week. What great value. Anyway, thanks for listening to this episode of the Star Sport Podcast. We'll be back soon. If you enjoy these shows, please make sure to rate, review and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Acast, Stitcher or wherever else you listen to the show.